Since we can't use the air conditioner, how about I just throw it at the guy mowing the grass?
Here's the fucking thing I love. You got all day to do it. You wait till fucking, 6:30?
Hey, it starts cooling down by this point, though. I get that.
No. You know where you want to be when shit's cooling down? Cooling down. So why not just fucking do it earlier in the day? Get it done. Get it out of your fucking way. Like, all you're doing is exhausting yourself when it's cooling down.
Maybe the guy had to be at a funeral today. His baby niece died, and he had to go pay his respects.
Well, you know what?
Fucking asshole you are.
I didn't kill her, so why should it be my problem? Oh, that's a bad joke. That's gotta be cut out.
No, that's totally gonna be our intro.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sort of My Podcast. My name is Vincent Herman, Vin The Human, sitting to my right.
Bob Collins, Bobb-A Fett, into my rights.
James Odell, Alphaspecter.
Guys, go over, like our nerd news page, Sort of My Comics on Facebook, and follow Sort of My Podcast on Instagram. Check out Subject to Change Entertainment on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, subscribe on YouTube and SoundCloud. You're checking this out somewhere. While here, why not like, comment, and most importantly, share. Guys, sharing is the best thing you can do for us while we do not have a Patreon. And of course, all of our personal social media is down in the description below.
So why don't we have a Patreon?
Because none of us have time, because we all work.
You'll know if you tune in to Serious Shit number 29.
I guess right now, you probably could for like a week or two.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then it'll fall apart and become chaos.
I work morning shift now.
So there's no excuse, that's what you're saying.
So you're literally telling us that you could have been doing this for a while now.
But you just don't want to. What a fucking dick.
Hey, the best place to get yourself called out on is the podcast, so everyone can hear your shame, you fucking asshole.
But, I've funded this podcast enough. I'm just waiting for it to pay me back.
He got a Tricon
We're not asking you. We're not asking you to fund anything.
I got us a Tricon sponsorship. I get a pass. So
that pass got cashed in a while.
We've already established many episodes ago. This is going to last at least a year.
No, this is going to last until after Vinny's wedding.
Well, enjoy not getting paid
at least 30 to 40 years.
Yeah, for a very long time. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and... actually, before we get into the polls, I want to talk about these. Odell, I know you picked them up. Bob,
are those porno mags?
These are actually not porno mags, as you can tell.
Those are hentai mags.
These are Batman, Superman, and Justice League of America hentai mags.
Is that an octopus?
No, I picked these bad boys up at Walmart in our last episode that was not a terrible review of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know if you guys listened to it, but it was...
was the review horrible, or you thought the movie was horrible?
I loved the movie.
I was going to say, I thought the movie
was
the
great. Review was just garbage.
You couldn't have waited for
and I'm
us
sorry,
to fucking review it?
I am so fucking sorry. That was our 50th episode. I regret it so much.
You should have just waited for us and we could all review it together.
But no, episode 49. I didn't get invited to that, by the way, but I was also working that day.
That was a spur of the moment.
It really was.
I still got Facebook. But these bad boys we talked about on episode 49, and I figured I'd check these first two out before we got started. I read Batman and Superman. I didn't read the reprints in there because I've already read those books, but the first two stories in these number ones actually really good. They came off kind of really classic because where you can tell it is tied into the continuity by the costuming and the characters and stuff. At the same time, it seems like these are just like one-off stories. Like, this is something that was happening over here. It's not connected to Rebirth or the wedding or any of that shit. It's just, here's a story.
Did you even mention that what you're talking about is the 100-page comic?
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't. I did mention we talked about them on episode 49, but yeah. And then we did a big story about these Walmart DC Comics 100-page giants. But I honestly, I feel like they were worth the $4.99 cover price. Not only because the stories were nice and fun, and I wasn't that excited with Jim Palmiotti. Best thing I've ever gotten from him was The Punisher, and everything else has been hit or miss. But these came out pretty good. I'm really glad I picked them up. So that is my ringing review endorsement.
And another fun fact about these is if you can find them, pick them up, because these first issues have already climbed up to well over double the cover price.
Yeah. Also, if you're able to, steal the display.
Okay, now see here's the thing about that.
You stole the display.
You stole the display.
That's the thing.
I did not steal it. I have personally.
Just because your mom works at Walmart, it's still stealing, bro.
Where were you when the Millennium Falcon was getting torn up, you bastard?
Those things they are under contractual obligation to destroy. They can't sell them. They can't give them away, because if they give them away, someone else could sell them. They are contractually obligated
of commercialism,
right? But there are some things that can be given away.
Okay, all right. But go on with what you were saying about the books.
The print run on these was fairly low.
Yeah.
So if you can find them, pick them up, because finding a complete set of all four of them is not easy, and the Teen Titans one is actually the one that's hardest to find now.
I found the first three. I don't have the Teen Titans one. I don't know that I'll get it either unless they restock these within the next it's probably another 2 weeks before the next
they've
one
been
comes
saying
out.
that they're starting to restock them, and I'm going to try to check the Ashland Walmart.
Yeah.
They're like you said, the original stories in them. Plus, if you haven't read the reprinted stories, they're ones that are worth reading.
And they seem like they're really good for people that are just getting into comics.
Yeah, the reprints in these books are actually all like quality starting points for stories. And the best thing is, they're not just leaving you high and dry with like, here's the first part of the story, go find the trade paperback. No, it looks like they're going to continue these stories. Like in the Batman one, the first part of Hush is in there. And it leads me to believe that it's going to continue the story in the next one, because each issue in the 100-page comic has this dividing page that says, what's Batman going to do here? Find out. And,
Find out
Batman 100 number 2, blah, 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 and shit. So that's really cool then, too. They're going to give you full classic story arcs and shit to go off of.
Now, Hush was like, what, a 12-part story?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, after this 2-part story, Batman number 2, Batman Giant Size number 2 is going to continue the one from this. Right. And then after that, they start a 12-part story. As we talked about on episode 49, remember?
That makes sense.
Superman's doing the same thing. I haven't read the Justice League of America one, but yeah, that first story is definitely not Justice League. It's all Wonder Woman. They should have just made it Wonder Woman 100 pages,
like that. That's still, to this day, like since we talked about it last time, and I've seen them, that bothers me.
Yeah,
because it advertises the entire Justice League, but it is a Wonder Woman story with some of the League members in there.
Justice League stories in there.
Yeah, but the story in the book is Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Moving on from there, though, let's go ahead and talk about some subject to change entertainment Facebook polls. Like we were talking about on episode 49, we started doing a video game franchise tournament. We're in the final 4 right now.
Getting some surprising results.
Yeah, right now with our final 4, we have The Legend of Zelda going up against Super Mario Brothers.
Which I knew that was going to come down to that.
Really?
Like, I didn't know.
There were some contenders in there, man.
Legend of Zelda, it was a close run against Elder Scrolls this last round. There for the longest time, it was 51-49.
Yeah, and Elder Scrolls would have stomped Super Mario. I'm sorry.
Oh, it
easily. But this could actually turn out to be a very interesting... I don't know where this one's going to go.
I personally feel like Legend of Zelda is going to win this one out, but I feel like it's going to be really close.
Yeah. And then this one is kind of weird. We have God of War going up against Pokemon. Yeah. And whoever wins these 2 matches is going to go into the finals.
Those are like completely different sides of the spectrum on this.
I think Pokemon's going to take it. I honestly do.
Honestly, I don't know how to call this one.
Well, this is why I think Pokemon's going to take that one, because the last poll from this previous week was insanely close, dude. It was Pokemon versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
and it came down,
I know when I voted on it, it was 50-50 at that point.
It came down to Pokemon winning by 50.5. I've never seen the polls do a percentile before, but it came down to 50.5 of the total at the time of, like, counting it all up, 107 votes. It's nuts.
Damn. So that was like right down. Honestly, I feel like it's going to be about that close with God of War and Pokemon.
I don't think so, man. I think Pokemon's got way more clout than God of War does.
I think as far as clout goes, Pokemon goes back a lot farther than God of War.
Right.
But especially with this newest one.
I was going to say, especially
God of War
have
has
that
picked
freshness of that new God of War.
Well, and here's what I've been noticing. A lot of people who comment after they've voted are seeming to treat these on merit-based, like, their own personal experience and stuff. People are being very fair with their votes as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to that, honestly, I don't see people putting a entire game franchise where the last one really stunned them over top of 2 decades worth of entertainment. Like, consistently loving a franchise.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Metroid won over Mega Man in that round.
Yeah, that was
that
odd.
surprised me. I voted Mega Man.
But
that was a hard decision.
Metroid's a good gaming franchise, but what they had 2 big misses there in the middle.
Oh, huge!
And it damn near killed the franchise.
Metroid Prime was the GameCube, and the ones they put out after that, you don't hear anything about.
You could argue Mega Man has been derivative to a certain point, especially after Mega Man X. But at least it's a consistency. It's like, oh, this is no better or worse than the last one. They're not shitty games. They're just,
They're on the same.
Yeah.
They're Mega Man games, and you ask a fan of the Mega Man and the Metroid franchises, you're gonna have people listing off their favorite Mega Man boss fights,
right?
Which. Those names like Bomberman and Gutsman, like some of those classic ones are a lot more memorable than trying to think of the name for the big fucking pterodactyl monster in Metroid.
Bubble-Man. You know why I love Bubble-Man? Because fuck Bubble-Man. And why is he so late in the game? Like, why are we trying now with Bubble-Man? He should have been number 1 in this whole string of shit. Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on from video games to video games. Because
that's a really good shift.
I really think those two things
I don't see
go
how you
hand
could.
in hand.
I honestly didn't see how you could segue into those two things.
That's why I got my own show.
Oh yeah.
No, we the only trailer we really had that was worth looking at this week was the new Pokemon Let's Go trailer. It shows off a lot more of the game elements, some stuff we had questioned when we were talking about it before during E3 and stuff. And I got a list of some of this stuff here. One, you will have a rival, like classic games of old. It seems like the game is going to start out like all the classic Game Boy versions, with Professor Oak giving you your starter Pokemon, catching you before you go off in the big grass and shit.
Do you get to pick with like your 3?
No, I believe, and I think it is Pikachu, like depending on the game you choose. Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee. It's going to be one of those two as a standard.
So I did see during the trailer there was a point where it's like there's a Charmander following you, then a Squirtle following you. I just didn't know if you were able to choose from those 3 like classics anyway.
Well, maybe it's you get them both at the head of the game. That would be very interesting because you're not wrong, and those areas where you see Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle running with you, they seem like early areas judging from my but those from my recollection of the old red, blue, and yellow games, those seem like earlier parts of the game.
One of the areas I seem to recognize as being on the way after the forest on your way to Pewter City.
Yeah. So, you might be right there. You might get to choose one of the 3. Because it did show the part with the 3 Pokeballs in front of him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And him picking one, but
unless it goes the route of the show and it's like, you don't get to pick one of the...
Pokemon Yellow.
So, you're too late or whatever. Yeah. All that's left is this asshole Pikachu.
Yeah. And so, who knows? We'll see when the game comes out. But moving on here, you can also bond and play with your partner. And they really throw that home. Like, the Pikachu or the Eevee, they're your partner. They're not
your Pokemon. They're not your possession. It's,
Yeah, they're hammering
them have a fucking fly-ass haircut.
But see, now here's another question that I've been kind of thinking of. Okay, let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee. Now, is this going to... Are you going to be able to evolve that Pikachu? Are you going to be able to evolve that Eevee?
And that's one thing I do know. It has been stated that they're Pikachu and they're Eevee.
You can't evolve the
choose
Eevee
if you can't fucking evolve it,
right?
Come on.
You have to be allowed to evolve that Eevee at some point.
The whole motivation behind that Eevee being there too is because the only foil to Ash's Pikachu was fucking Gary's Eevee in the show, and so that's why it's Eevee. Stupid. But you can interact with them just like you could in recent DS games. But it's not clear if this is exclusive to just Pikachu or Eevee, because in the DS games you can interact with all your Pokemon, feed them candies and play with them and shit. So
now that also applies to the Go. Like the Go Park thing, right?
Yeah.
You can interact with them and do stuff with them
Which I have found out about that Go Park thing, because we were talking about that before. You are going to be able to transfer those Pokemon Go Pokemon from the Go Park to your actual game.
And use them?
But it's after a certain level. Like, after you've reached so far in the game.
That's okay, because like some of the Pokemon that you can get in Pokemon Go... Like right now, I have a bunch of legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like Lugia, the legendary birds, like powerhouse Pokemon that's like you transfer over. Well, you know what? I'm going to go up against Pewter City Gym with a fucking Dragonite and
smash him.
I stopped playing about 2 or 3 months in.
Yeah, I know.
So,
popping up all of my memories right now from 2 years ago is like the fucking... Like right at the beginning of...
I really thought we would all be all about it forever. And I gave up.
I mean, real quick. I still play a little bit.
I waited longer than you did to get.
You did, yeah. Well, no, I saw the writing on the wall. I knew where it was going. I was like, even if they introduce battling, I'm gonna get beaten every single battle. I'm never gonna fucking take a gym. I'm never gonna get to do any of the outside fun shit that everyone else is gonna get to do. All I'll get to do is catch Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I was like, this just does not seem worth running up my data package or running up my time and getting obsessed over. I could just go home and play Pokemon on my fucking DS.
See, that one of the last updates they did took care of a lot of the gym issues.
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was my ability to grow in the game. My ability to make time to grow in the game and shit. Everyone was just blazing past me in the first month.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right at the beginning, it was fine. But, like, after a few months in, like, I started realizing fast, like, oh, shit. Like, I'm way behind.
I'm not taking anything away from Pokemon Go. It's a phenomenon. It's still going strong. I mean, they've tied it into this game, which is just going to give it new life.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon Go is awesome. I had fun with what I did. I just saw the writing on the wall. It wasn't for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But another thing that is in this, you also get to ride if you select larger Pokemon. In the trailer alone, we get to see Onix, Arcanine, Charizard, and Lapras on water, obviously.
Yeah.
But there have to be a few more in there that we just haven't seen
sure.
yet.
Well, because in the last one, what was it, Sun and Moon?
Yeah.
You had the capabilities to ride these different Pokemon, and each of the different Pokemon had their own kind of specific thing that they did.
Yeah,
you could ride Tauros and move twice as fast as like a running Pokemon.
And bust through boulders and shit.
Charizard did something different.
I don't know the name of the big ass dog, but he could sniff out hidden items for you.
Yeah, there was one like you could find hidden items.
The Arcanine?
No.
It was like a fourth generation.
Pretty much, if it's not the first generation, I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, Bob, this is great for you because this
looked like it was all first gen. Yeah, I am kind of excited for that.
The only later generation things that are going to be in this is you can transfer a Alolan form Pokemon from Pokemon Go. Because a lot of those are first-gen Pokemon, so they're like two different color Rattatas, and one of them's a dark and normal type, and the other one's just the normal one we all know.
If you think about that, you know, how are they going to be doing, like, the typing for all this? Like, is Magnemite just going to be electric, or is it going to be electric and steel like it is in the newer generations?
I'm sure they're going to update things because, you know, here we are in the 8th generation or whatever. You know, so I'm sure, like, yes, we're going to have steel and dark and all those types are going to be included. We're just not going to see, like, second-gen Pokemon.
Yeah.
So, and actually, speaking to the whole finding items thing, the Pokemon you select to follow you, because Pikachu rides on your shoulder, Eevee rides on your head.
Have one following you as
well. And then you can have one running around with you. That little bastard's going to be able to find hidden items as you're walking along, and it's just going to go like, hey, look at this shit, and then you go over there and
hey,
you're
look
like,
at this, a box of porn in the woods.
Right. Hashtag communal porno. If you type that in, hashtag communal porno, it will take you to one post that I made this week. Instagram, by the way. And finally, trading will play a part in the game, actually, both locally and online. So we're even getting that.
So Wonder Trade.
Right. Well, it's actually like, I assume it's going to work, well, Wonder Trade, but I assume the local trading is going to work much like it does with the Game Boy. Your buddy brings over their Switch with the game. You link via Bluetooth or whatever, and you can trade right then and there, man.
I'm straight stealing my son's fucking Switch for this game.
It's so great. But I am really glad, so fucking glad that I went and spent about $400 because I bought a Switch.
Oh, you finally get one?
I went ahead and bought a Switch, which I had intended to get for the boys anyways. And I spent $100 on the Pokeball Joy-Con and game combo.
The point where the boys finally come over to play the Switch, you're not going to let them have it.
Fuck no.
It's my Switch, motherfuckers.
I'm going to be, air quotes, showing them how to play the whole time.
Dad, it's been 7 hours. Can I please
let me just show you how to beat the 7th gym, okay? You're really going to need to know that before you start playing the game.
Wait, don't you kids like watching other people play video games?
Right?
Look at Dan TDM.
And that's the thing. Why can't kids watch us play fucking video games if they're just going to sit there and waste hours watching fucking PewDiePie do it? Like, come on. Come on.
We just went into this earlier. Let's not rehash this depressing topic.
Shit, number 29.
Come on.
Moving along.
Let's get into the news. Did you bring some nudes, Bob?
No, but I'll start stripping.
All right. Well, why should this episode be any different?
Right.
Odo's got the tits out and everything.
You got that belly button now.
It's hot enough in here. He probably wants to take his shirt off for sure.
I'm getting there.
Okay, so first of all, Entertainment Weekly, they had a lot of first looks released this week. They regularly do interviews with cast and crew of upcoming films in which they usually show some unseen pictures. Recently, they did these ones. The first of all, and I actually have them here.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Which is what? What do you think the first one he's talking about?
First one? I'm going to guess the first one is Shazam.
No.
You are wrong.
You are wrong.
Oh, Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. You got this little picture here. Director Michael Daughtry talked a little bit about the film, stating that the world is reacting to Godzilla in the same way we would react to any other terrifying incident, in that we are overreacting.
Is this tying into the Godzilla movie that came out a few years ago?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Actually, some other key notes that are about the film. Godzilla hasn't been seen in over 4 years, actually. And he's going to be taking on the likes of Mothra, the three-headed King Ghidorah, and Rodan.
Awesome. Have you seen the concept for Rodan?
No, I have not yet.
Oh, it's so badass looking.
But this is actually, not only is this legitimate sequel to the 2014 Godzilla, this is also tied into the Kong Skull Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Film that's supposed to be happening.
I was really hoping you were
going
to say the Godzilla from, what was it, 2000?
With
Matthew Broderick.
No, but Godzilla Final Wars from like a while back was.
Is that the animated shit?
No. It was a legitimate Toho produced Godzilla sequel in which it's basically like all the different kaiju and Godzilla's fucking killing them all, and this fight takes place in Australia, and it's literally this: Godzilla and then the fucking Iguana Godzilla from Godzilla 2000 are facing down. Iguana Godzilla rushes him.
I remember hearing about that.
He flips him over and throws him into the Australian music hall. I can't remember what it's called. Blows the shit out of him with some fucking atomic breath, and that's it. That's the whole fight. Nailed him. He's done. And now that Godzilla is dead forever, according to canon. But this film will be the third in the series leading to Godzilla versus King Kong.
This one,
after that, we got a first look at Venom.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty sleek.
He is so comic accurate at this point. Like, the huge toothy grin.
Wet.
He looks so sticky. We're talking about a wet film here.
Like,
to ruin some of our people's day. I mean, it's a moist film.
So
I mean, as soon as they announced Tom Hardy, I already knew it was going to be moist.
This one, in my personal opinion, this one's less of a first look because... All right,
we've already seen it.
Yeah, that last trailer.
We have,
practically got this picture.
That was more of a glimpse. This is a good
No, that was a good look.
Yeah, that was as good of a look as this. This one looks clean.
We're in 2018.
I was gonna say,
they can show us a millisecond, and we're gonna see good fucking screenshots, still shots.
Well, like he said, this was a good, clean still image.
It looks like the visual effects work wasn't quite done in the trailer compared to this, because this looks legit. This looks real.
I feel like that last trailer was definitely a response to everybody. Sorry, I'm just making a bunch of noise. I feel like that last trailer was a big response to like everybody talking about that first trailer.
There's no Venom. There's no Venom.
Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, also, I think that last trailer was all we need moving forward.
It really is.
You've already got me in the theater. We don't need another one.
I was
don't show me anymore.
They gave us exactly enough of story, plot, and Venom.
Well, speaking to that point, in the interview with director Ruben Fleischer, I gotta fuck someone's name up every episode, so...
No, you got that one.
Oh, I got that one. Alright, cool. The movie is actually gonna focus on the unusual relationship and the ways that Eddie and Venom will try to work together. So we do get a little more of, like, here's a core story element, which I guess comic fans could have put together easily enough. But, for those unwary, those unfamiliar with the storied past of these characters... that's actually pretty good information for them, knowing that not only is there this, like, government lab doing some shit, but here comes an own, like, internal force, an internal relationship going on just between our main character or characters, depending on how you look at it.
I say characters.
I'd say characters, yeah. Venom is his own thing, Eddie Brock is the
They are separate entities.
Yeah.
I like to think of that as, like, a follow-up to Dark Knight Rises, and Bane goes off and acquires symbiote. And
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, so we're just gonna
Tom
move
Hardy.
along.
God damn it.
Oh yeah, that's right, Tom Hardy. Sometimes I forget Tom Hardy was Bane because his face is not right there. He did all the acting with his eyes, man.
His voice is just like how it is in real life. It's
he's always talking like this.
He sounds like Sean Connery.
He's always Sean
Connery.
Indy, I'm about to blow up this.
Indy, no one references Last Crusade, dude.
You were born.
No one ever fucking makes a reference to Last Crusade.
You merely adopted the museum. I was born in it, molded by it.
Oh my god. Oh,
well, I feel like we should end it there. It's not going to get any better than that. But unfortunately, we got more news to move on to. But before we do that, we're still going to look at one more EW reveal. Boom! This picture from Shazam. Wow, this was my favorite one of all of these that came out. Because, one, I was already real... did you guys see that, the advertisement thing from some sort of thing?
Where he's drinking out of a to-go cup?
Yeah, it's like a Slurpee or something. Yeah, that already...
It gives you the childish feel to it. Like, this does the same thing.
Yeah, because he's right here, he's hanging out with Freddy outside of a convenience store, and they're just chugging fucking
12-pack of cola.
Yeah. It's fucking just... It's Shazam. This feels like what Shazam and his best buddy Freddy would be doing outside of a convenience store. And I got to assume that this is sometime like very shortly after he gets his powers. Like right now, this is during the montage where he's just having fun with it. But
I don't doubt that at all.
But also, when talking about the suit, director David Sandberg said, I don't know if the suit is crazy big if you look at some of the others. Look at Batman. And that was, that's the only thing a lot of people are taking away from this or any other pictures of Shazam is that the suit's obviously fake. Well, Shazam is a ridiculously big character anyways. Yeah. He's meant to be over-exaggerated, and I don't know if this is actually a part of any Shazam canon, but I think it's because it's I think it's an ultra-hyper version of what Billy Batson thinks a hero is. I think that's what Shazam looks like. And so the form is built out of his imagination. And because Billy Batson is a big fan of Superman, this is kind of like Superman on roids. And that's what he's become. And so if the suit looks ridiculously big, that's because that's what he imagines Superman as, is ridiculously big. Mm-hmm. Plus also look at Batman and Superman's outfits.
Batman's costume, the mold of it was from this fucking insanely big bodybuilder.
Yeah. And you can argue Batman's because okay, well he's got extra padding in there, there's armor and shit. Yeah. But look at Superman's. Any version of Henry Cavill in that costume has always been edged, and it's obviously not all him. Don't get me wrong, he's jacked, and they made it
a fucking jacked ass.
And they made it as form fitted as possible. But the way those edge lines go is fucking fake. And I've known that since Man of Steel. Never had a problem with it. But now Shazam's coming out, and everyone's picking it apart.
Well, you never had a problem with the costume or Man of Steel? Because I know you don't have any problems with Man of Steel, right?
Either. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I love Man of Steel.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that film.
I can recall back to 3 years ago of us sitting in my shed and us having this heated argument about fucking Man of Steel.
There's one thing I have a problem with, and
is it Jonathan?
Jonathan?
Kent?
Pa Kent. Yeah, Pa Kent was on the total, but the biggest thing involves Pa Kent, and that's when the fucking tornado hits.
Yeah, well, that's what I was referring to.
Bullshit, he can't save him. Bullshit, he can't save him.
Are we getting into this again? Because, goddamn it, I'll sit here and argue with you.
That is for another time.
We don't have time for that.
Well, going back to this, one thing that's been bothering the fuck out of me, you go through and read on these comment sections on Facebook.
Oh, I don't even fucking read the comments.
Everyone is they made a big mistake by not casting John Cena. Yeah, I understand. If you threw John Cena into a Shazam costume, it would look good. Yeah. But as John Cena's acting skills, granted, this guy here, I don't know if I've ever seen anything.
I can't really speak to this guy's chops either. But
the only thing I've seen John Cena in, he was playing a drug dealer.
I have seen John Cena in a few things. I will say this. His comedic timing is awesome. Yeah. I love his comedic timing. There is a reason why he's one of the most popular and prolific WWE stars, because he could sell a crowd and shit. I don't know about drama so much. When I saw him in his first two film roles, which were the WWE films 12 Rounds and The Marine, hated those films. Hated them so much. But I have loved him in everything that's been coming out lately. I'm actually excited to see Blockers. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to see it in theaters. I didn't get the chance, but I'm going to watch that movie. He looks hilarious in it. He was hilarious in Trainwreck, the Amy Schumer film. He was awesome in that. So if they put John Cena in this, I think it would have been an alright decision. I could have gotten on board, but I would have been a little leery.
Who would seriously cast a wrestler in any kind of Shazam role? Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. You're thinking of a basketball player.
No,
I'm talking about The Rock as Black Adam.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. We got actually news about that coming up later. But
I feel like John Cena, though, he would have been able to tap into that childish aspect.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say, was that with this is going to be a much more family-friendly, fun film. I think John Cena could pull that weight.
Oh, yeah, and he's been doing those kind of movies.
And they maybe...
Like Cockblockers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Or Picture of a Rooster Blockers.
Yeah. I love that it originally was Cockblockers.
Well, it's like, and you remember Zack and Miri? It was originally Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and now it's just called Zack and Miri.
Motherfucking
because of home release. They changed it for home release.
I think it was Walmart was the biggest reason. With,
I think so.
But it was, it may have been they missed out, but I think this is going to be fun. This guy looks fun.
I'm pretty fucking excited for it, honestly. When's the release date for it?
Huh?
When's the release date for Shazam?
2019, I know that.
Okay.
Later in, early 2019, like probably that blockbuster area of like May or April, something like that. So, you would have thought I would have put down the release date for each one of these movies, but I'm that good.
Well, you know.
Maybe we're just going to need to find a new showrunner, I guess. Fuck.
Good luck with that, asshole. It's like, you're going to be fucking texting me about all sorts of shit, and I would be like, sorry, read comics, kid.
No,
the comics don't tell me when the movie's coming out.
That would just be one of those, so what are we talking about tonight? I don't know, let's just wing it.
Just start making up the news as we go.
So Stan Lee has found an age-reversing potion. He's in his 30s again, writing comics.
And he's writing the next Superman movie.
A curious case of Stan Button.
Stan Button. Alright, moving on from there, we got another Spawn casting announcement.
Yes, we did.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner is signed to portray homicide detective Maximilian Twitch Williams.
Also known as Hawkeye. Wait.
Nope, you got that wrong. According to Deadline, Twitch will be at the center of the film's story as one of Spawn's primary allies in his war against Hell.
Which is so cool that they're like incorporating this kind of stuff in.
Yeah.
Because there's a shitload of people out there. They know who Spawn is, they vaguely know what he's about and all that, but you mentioned Sam and Twitch.
Are we getting Sam in this film as well?
If we're getting Twitch, we have to get Sam.
Okay, wasn't there an announcement a while back that Kevin Smith was supposed to be directing a Sam and Twitch show? Was it Sam and Twitch?
Well, there was an idea they were trying to shop it around, but they haven't gotten it off the
There was an
ground
idea
yet.
For a Sam and Twitch show. I can't remember if it was Kevin Smith.
I'm like 99%.
No, it was definitely Kevin Smith
Yeah.
was involved with the project.
I knew he was involved. I didn't know if he was going to be directing the whole thing.
But with them doing this film, I seriously don't see them putting that out now.
Well,
I
feel like
it's going to be separate actors, everything else.
Yeah, I feel like this is
doing that, but like, especially for something like Spawn and some of the Spawn affiliated characters, I don't know if that'd be the best idea.
Yeah,
because seriously, what gives this thing wings is gonna be the diehards. Like people like you, Odell. I'm a fan of Spawn, but I'm not like I don't know what you know.
Right.
And so I'm gonna go see it because I'm a fan of the concept of Spawn and what I do know. You're gonna go see it because you're a diehard, but like someone off to the left of us. Not gonna care at all.
Yeah.
They might see a trailer and be like, that looks gnarly, I might go see it. Although they won't use the word gnarly because I'm trapped in some other fucking dimension.
They're gonna see it and ask where's John Leguizamo.
Have you seen what they announced the budget for this was?
No,
it was fairly low, wasn't it?
We were talking about this the other night. The number that I saw of the budget for this film was $12 million.
Damn! That is insanely low.
Yeah.
They're doing like 90% practical effects with that budget.
Well, I was going to say, you got to think, if they go practical suit, they go like pretty much practical on location instead of building, millions of dollars worth of sets and all this and that, and they go more like practical, like I want to say paranormal, but like hell-based creatures, like whatever he's going to be going up against. If they go to the
but still, like if you want to do those right, that's not cheap, but it's cheaper than CG.
Yeah. So I feel like a $12 million budget with already you have Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner, who are two pretty big names right now. Todd McFarlane.
That's like $10 million worth of your budget is just going to pay those motherfuckers.
Yeah. I mean, that's a decent chunk of a budget right there. Like, depending on how much their contract was for it and all that, that's unknown. But it can be done.
Right.
And we've gotten great movies that have been low-budget movies.
Right. And, like, I haven't seen anything confirming the budget yet or not, but, man, I am surprised if it's going to be that low, like, for real, because there's still so much to cast.
Oh,
like you said, if you're going to have Twitch, you got to have Sam. So we still have yet to hear who's going to play Sam and shit. So, but getting back to what our story is about here, the thing... of course, Twitch is going to play a big part of this. With Todd McFarlane writing, he's not writing this for the casual moviegoer. He's writing this for the Spawn fan.
And how many years have you heard about like him holding off because he wants to do it right,
his way?
Like he wants to do it the way,
not pandering to the studio.
Exactly. I'm pretty excited for this. My only worry, I was talking to Odo about this the other night, is like how well will McFarlane's directing skills be?
Right. You gotta wonder if he's gonna bring anyone in to kind of help him.
I hope he does,
because this would be his directorial debut. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's the only concerning thing so far. Is the fact that he's directing it, but I know he loves his characters enough to try.
And that's the only saving grace for me, because I mean that's exactly what I was saying to Odo the other night. The only concern I have, aside from now, like learning about budget and stuff, it's like, that's gonna seem kind of tight. Is how well will McFarlane be able to direct this? Right.
And even if,
it's his babies, it's his passion.
Even if directorially it's garbage, I'm gonna walk away knowing he at least tried his hardest. Because of what the project is. So, moving on from there, though, we got another really cool casting story. Billy D. Williams is coming back to Star Wars. The Hollywood Reporter confirmed this. He's going to reprise his role as Lando Calrissian in Star Wars Episode 9. How do you guys feel about this?
I think they should have just casted Danny Glover and just...
Well, you mean Donald Glover?
No, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
He's getting too old for this shit. They're just casting Donald Glover, just aged him. No. Fuck the whole team.
Randomly, Lando Calrissian was some other old black guy. They're like, whatever, we're gonna kill him in this film anyways. So
they're part of the original cast. We're gonna die anyway.
I saw a meme the other day. It was Mickey Mouse dressed as Death going into Harrison Ford's dressing room and then coming out with a trail of blood. Going into Mark Hamill's dressing room, coming out with a trail of blood, and knocking on his door.
Billy D's door? Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it should have been in the last film.
It's about time for them to kill off another key player from the original trilogy.
They still have Leia, and they gotta figure all that out.
They gotta figure that out. Wow. I love that Rain Johnson was like, you know what, JJ? That one's your problem. I feel like that's
it kind of feels like there's a behind-the-scenes feud between Ryan Johnson and fucking JJ with like, oh, you know all that shit that you're building up in Force Awakens? Well, guess what? Ray has no parents. And this is that. Well, Luke, kill him off. Fuck it all. Like, he just straight went through and fucked JJ. Now JJ's
like, this house down. Good luck setting up a fucking shack.
Oh, now that the house is burned down, Thanksgiving dinner's tonight. Figure it out, JJ.
That's not terrible, though, because, you know, that just means that the challenge for JJ, Empire, ended in a very, like, down note. Like, where the fuck do our heroes go from here? So, you know, that just means that we've got more to build out of.
Speaking of Episode 9 casting, Kerry Russell.
Yeah. That was a thing, too. I think it's cool. Some people are saying Rey's parents, but that's what they've gone with. Like, when they cast...
Anybody. Billy D. Williams is probably Rey's dad. Or mom. I'm not here to judge.
When they cast Laura Dern in Episode 8, people are saying Rey's parents. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's really
Snoke and Jar Jar are probably Rey's parents.
Don't know how that works out, and I can't say that I've seen a single female Gungan, so...
Well, there's probably some kind of parody porn out there that could explain it all.
Oh, yeah. Well, Rule 34 has got this whole thing on lock already.
It's already got it all figured out.
You look at Rule 34, it's probably a fucking stormtrooper.
Yeah, right. It's just a clone.
Yeah, well, that was the popular theory during episode 7. I think that's been thrown out by now. But, what the fuck was I gonna say?
Moving along.
Father. Kerry Russell?
No. Oh, yeah, Kerry Russell. No, I think Kerry Russell is just JJ wanting to play with his friends because they have a history.
Fucking Felicity. He's like, I'm going to bring Felicity in. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think that's just him hanging out with his friends. On
which Mission Impossible was it that she was in?
Number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 3. I think it was her head that exploded, right? Yeah. Same thing happens in episode 9. This is going to be Billy D. Williams. Right there. Her head explodes. He gets caught in a blast, dies.
They're bringing in Tom Cruise.
He gets hit by a piece of her skull and it kills him. And then her jawbone goes flying across the room and takes him out.
Fuck you.
This is why we're not writing these.
Could you imagine if we did?
After episode 9, I think they should just do this like whole fan initiative and be like, alright guys, fine. You hated our new fucking trilogy? We're gonna hand the reins over to you guys. We're gonna give you like $100 million budgets.
Have you been listening to Daily?
We got the money.
Have you been listening to Weekly Planet? Where they're talking about that fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God,
the fan-funded proposed remake of The Last Jedi.
They've already raised $100 million.
Oh, it's a scam. It's such a fucking scam. Because one, they know Disney is never gonna fucking accept that.
No.
Disney stands by their shit.
Oh yeah.
They're never gonna be like, oh, okay, we'll give you official licensing for your fucking fan film.
Look at how fucked up Pinocchio is. They stand by that shit. Look how racist Dumbo is. They stand by that shit. You don't like The Last Jedi?
Oh, you don't like Dumbo? You. Here's a live action.
Right?
I would not put it past Tim Burton to put the racist crows back in.
Oh, I'm not whatsoever.
I guarantee
especially Tim Burton.
But no, yeah, you don't like The Last Jedi? Fuck you. You know what? Tell you what, we'll take $1 billion we made from that and burn it in a fucking pile. That's what we think about it. We're
while giving you the middle finger.
No.
We're fucking Disney.
They were like, you know what? All that money we made from this, we're gonna buy a Fox. You know what we're not gonna do? We're not gonna make an X-Men movie because fuck you.
Right.
We're gonna make a Family Guy movie.
They're gonna fund a fuck. Here's the thing: they're gonna fund an X-Men porno parody, and then you're like, okay, well, you know what? They made it. I might as well watch it, as if you weren't gonna fucking anyways. But you watch it, and it's literally just Bob Iger giving you the fucking middle finger, the double bird, for 2.5 hours. Way longer than you need for a porno parody. Just 2.5 hours.
You need about 2.5 minutes.
He's wearing a fucking Star Wars t-shirt. No, that's the only thing. That's the only clothing that changes hands. He changes t-shirts every now and again.
Star Wars, Marvel,
X-Men. The whole time. That's
what
you
he
get.
takes off, he just tosses it in a garbage can that's on fire.
On their Instagram, they post a picture of like decapitated Fantastic Four. They're like, "Fuck you."
I wouldn't put it past him.
We were way too. We got away off track on that one.
So back to Lando.
Yep. We're on to the RoboCop sequel now. Deadline confirmed the sequel is coming, and it will be directed by Neil Blomkamp, who directed District 9, Elysium, and Chappie. So,
2 of those movies I've watched. 2 of those movies I actually enjoyed.
2 of those movies I have seen and got great reviews. I have not seen Chappie, and I've heard bad things. But
I've heard mixed.
Yeah. The writers behind the original film, Ed Neumeyer and Michael Miner, will be serving...
Wait. The original?
The original.
Okay.
Will be serving as producer and executive producer, and will be written by Justin Rhodes, who happens to have written the upcoming new Terminator film. But there have been no cast announcements made.
And this is a sequel to the remake.
Now, see, that's the weird thing.
Or is it a sequel to the original?
They have not clarified, but...
Are they pulling a Terminator here?
I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know if this is going to be a sequel to the remake,
which would make sense. Remake.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. When I did the sort of my review, old versus new, I actually ended up siding with the remake over the original. Because the original is dated as fuck. It really is. But whether this is a sequel to the original or a remake, that's not been clarified yet. But I think with like the original writers being executive producers and all that, you could argue maybe they are trying the Terminator thing, because the new Terminator film, that is a direct sequel to T2.
And
they're erasing everything in between.
And Halloween as well.
Right.
The new Halloween movie is going to be a direct sequel from the original Halloween. Right. Everything in between that doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, so it's not unlike Hollywood to pull this right now, and so I guess we'll just have to wait and see for more information to come out. Again, I would rather it be a reboot sequel.
Yeah.
And because I didn't hate it.
No, I actually really enjoyed it. I'm probably one of the... We're both obviously probably some of the few that actually really enjoyed it.
Right.
Everybody else, I mean, I understand nostalgia factor, but sometimes you have to get past that.
Yeah.
To be like, is the original
the
really
name is the
better?
Thing you're getting hung up on here.
Yeah.
You're not connecting to the characters because guess what? It's not the original actors. And
I mean, we could cast all the original actors, but they're all going to be old as fuck.
We don't want that.
I mean, Red Foreman's still around, though.
He died in the first film, though.
So? It doesn't matter.
He's another RoboCop. Right. He's the other RoboCop.
Which I love his character in The Ranch, completely off subject.
Oh, God,
the stoner.
Stoner who's dying of
cancer. I love that he's a stoner in this.
Well, he's a stoner who's dying of cancer and just does not give a fuck. No, and it's amazing to watch him just be so chill.
Real off subject. Have you watched this whole season?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
How?
The ending?
Yeah.
The whole season, I'm like, okay, they might do something to deal with Danny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that was the thing. Everyone was like, he got fired. He's not going to be in the next season. I was like, no. They filmed the whole fucking season. Yeah, he's going to be in there. How are they going to deal with this? The way they ended that season, perfect.
Oh,
if you want to know what we're talking about, go watch it. It's a great fucking show. Anyway.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Sam Elliott.
I don't know if they'll ever bring him back. Maybe they'll take a season break.
I hope they do.
I think they'll take a season break just to let everything die down, and then they'll bring him back in the next one. If they're intend on going that far, which I could see them doing. Well, man, I could watch this series for the rest of my fucking life.
Dude, it's a great series. It really is. Odell, you need to watch it.
You really do.
Like, there's so many shows that I have in my backlog, like Supernatural. I'm
still pushing through Supernatural. I took a long break from Supernatural because I was starting to get burnt out on it.
I haven't even
like here recently. I've been picking
at it.
It's
not a bingeable show. It isn't.
It is to a certain point, but then I binged a couple seasons within like a couple weeks time. But by that point, it was like I gotta
just start taking a week to week. Just start taking a week to week, and you'll find yourself getting more.
I think I'm in the middle of like season 6.
Any season, anything that's gone more than like 7 seasons, you're gonna have some different.
I have been watching fucking Cloak and Dagger, and I'm on episode 3 or 4.
I'm on episode 3. I just hit.
I know for sure I've watched all of the first 3 episodes. I don't think I've tapped into episode 4 yet.
I can't remember if I watched episode 4.
I like it, dude.
It's really, really good. I love that they're taking their time getting these two together. And shit,
See, I'm not starting that until I'm done with Luke Cage.
Whenever, that's another thing. He hasn't even got to the good episode.
He
hasn't got to the Hero for Hire episode.
You may be playing with fire. Look, Luke Cage is gonna be there. Boot up Hulu, watch fucking Cloak and Dagger because this may be one of those ones that they cycle out the episodes.
Yeah. They've already got
7 like 7 episodes.
They have 1 through 7.
1 is still on there,
but they might wind up start knocking them off.
You don't know. You never know what game these guys are going to play.
I have a computer.
Yeah.
You're part of the problem. You're fucking part
I know that we're getting way off subject here, but Cloak and Dagger, the episode where his father brings him to the place where they're beating him, and he finds the cloak, dude. Oh, dude, I almost teared up during that. Like,
I'm loving how much I'm loving that show.
Me too, dude. Like, I'm really surprised with it. I went into it really weary, because some of those shows are like, not bad. Like, I really liked Runaways. I
still haven't finished Runaways.
Runaways is good, dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I have seen. I just...
Spoiler. You know what happens at the end of the last episode?
Yeah.
They run away.
I've heard.
Motherfucker.
You know?
You can skip the whole season. Just know that they're running away.
Ah, damn it.
Like, I still have The Gifted in my queue on Hulu.
Haven't seen Gifted yet.
I don't know.
I haven't seen season 2.
I'm still using your Hulu account.
Yeah, I assumed as much.
Legion?
Have not seen season 2.
I haven't
watched any of them.
I haven't seen season 2.
But all I know is that
season 1 is trippy
April
as fuck, man.
From
you can
Parks
follow
and
it.
Rec.
You can follow it.
You can follow it,
yeah.
but it throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
Like
the reason I want to watch Legion
episodes.
because I know in season 2, April from Parks and Rec gets to your butt, and I want to see that.
Yep. And there was a what was it?
Hollywood Babylon.
Hollywood Babylon. They were like, "Can you see your butthole?"
And Haitia's butthole.
And
the butthole verdict. And,
and Kevin Smith gave his verdict. There was no butthole.
Well,
No
guys,
butthole.
I gotta get home.
I'll be in my boat.
You know what? You were just on your phone. Just fucking Google it.
There's a science project waiting for me at home.
Moving on from that, let's move on from hot buttholes to racism.
That seems like a pretty constant thing in our shows.
They go together like peanut butter and broccoli.
Is this my segment?
Yes,
this is the Yodel segment.
This is starting to become the English dubbed 64th episode of Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Segment. Odell says some racist shit. Take it over.
We need a theme song. Somebody call Travis.
No, I almost let one out during the whole Billy D. Williams.
Oh, God.
At least you're starting to control yourself. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
To be honest, I couldn't find a place to interject about how they could have just put another black guy in.
Okay, see, now you just had to throw it out there. Son of a bitch. The English...
So, Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon. The English dubbed 64th episode of Pokemon Sun and Moon has been banned from playing in the U.S. The episode revolves around the Pokemon called Passimian.
I don't know who that is.
You can put together what kind of Pokemon that is. And during the course of the pilot, Ash wears face paint to disguise himself as one of the Pokemon. Now, I've gone ahead and done the due diligence to find some photographs here. And let's see here. First, we have the photo of the Pokemon itself. This is Passimian. I believe it's a fighting dark type. I'm not real sure. But here is Ash preparing to disguise himself as said Pokemon.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good idea.
And here
Ash
is
blackface, dude.
Here is Ash next to the Pokemon itself.
I mean, okay.
And this is
if
why
you were to see this image, I'd be like, okay, he's...
And this is why I included the third image, because
he's imitating a Pokemon.
Yeah. Because all of the news stories covering this are only going with that second photograph.
But you give me that one?
Yeah, you get,
yes.
You take that second photograph and you're like, yeah, that's
But you give me that one,
Here's the thing, though, that second photograph where all we see is Ash appearing to be this Pokemon. We have had to have seen the Pokemon prior to this episode for Ash to know what it looks like to dress up like.
He's a part of the games and stuff. And and I see what you're saying there, and I somewhat agree, but in looking for these photos, like, I did not put together how okay it was until I saw them next to each other. Because I had seen the Pokemon previously, and then I saw that photo, and I was like, oh, yeah, Pokemon, what are you doing?
If you just see that photo with no and that's the thing, is a lot of things anymore get taken so out of context. Like that one image, that second photograph there, if you take that, Ash is going blackface. That's racist as shit. And that's show this episode.
That's why all of the articles are only including that photograph and a picture of Passimian itself.
Clickbait.
But yeah, you see that side by side. You do your due diligence and you know, okay, there's nothing wrong here.
He's dressing up like a Pokemon. It's no different from a kid putting on a Halloween costume.
What, a blackface?
No, like putting on a Pokemon Halloween costume or dressing up as something. There's very little difference because he's a kid.
But could they have picked a different Pokemon?
Probably.
I mean, could they have?
Probably could have picked a different Pokemon.
See, when you first started this, I'm thinking, okay, so what? Is there just a bunch of shit flinging in this episode? Like, Does the Pokemon try to rape someone?
No. You hear... Okay. It's not going to dig deep enough into that.
Yeah.
But, no, and even though you see those two side by side...
God damn it, you're rubbing off of me, Odo. I was about to say something really fucked up.
Even though you dig into those two being side by side, and you say, okay, that photo makes a lot of sense. I don't see why people could be offended by that. Still, if that episode had aired here, it would have caused a lot of... it would have blown the fuck up for, like, the minimalist of reasons, and it is a very smart idea on the Pokemon Company's part to edit this, and
I can understand
and they do intend on airing this episode, but they're going to finagle it, because this is actually, obviously we've seen some editing before in the past, but this is the first time since the 2002 episode, which featured Jinx's original design of a black face with thick pink lips.
Oh, shit.
Even worse than this.
Yeah.
Drawing criticism for portraying an obvious racist stereotype. Which, if you remember, she was later redesigned with the purple skin rather than black skin.
Well, but there again, like, they've had to modify episodes, like, as they've come over to the US, they've had to modify them from, like, Misty being naked to being, like...
I think you're thinking of the Pokemon card, but you're not wrong.
No. There were also... Like, there was one, they're at a hot spring or something, and...
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the Pokemon card. Although there was an episode where James from Team Rocket had breasts.
Yeah.
That happened multiple times. Are you kidding me? That happened so many times.
Wait, did that air in the U.S.?
Yeah.
I thought it never made it to
No,
the
I
US.
remember that episode.
I remember there was something about it.
It had to have gotten taken off the air.
But there was
eventually.
The episode where they get on the SSN, and they're, like, Jesse and James are both, like, trying to sell or give the tickets to the kids. James is a female with cleavage and everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's a blouse covering it, but you can see cleavage.
Yeah.
So it's like, he just keeps getting implants for all of these shenanigans and then getting rid of them.
This goes back to your serious shit discussion of trannies.
But moving on from that, I think we've all made our standpoint obvious on, like, with the context and seeing the two together, it's fine. But it's just a smart move.
Yeah.
Just a smart move.
It is because it's so easily taken out of context.
And like I say, they intend on retooling it, releasing it in a different light and shit. So hopefully that works out for them. But we have something else standing in the way of our further enjoyment of brands we love.
Another damn fucking stick in the spokes.
Yep. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Robert Weiss, who's leading other Fox shareholders, has filed a complaint as a lawsuit against the Fox-Disney deal. Concerns include conflicts of interest with Goldman Sachs, absence of financial projections for Hulu, and earnings statements for the European broadcaster Sky. So, not only did we get all that awesome news that we covered in number 45 of this show, where they had gotten the U.S. approval, they had outbid Comcast and made them look like a bunch of fools, but now we got this fucking standing in the way. They just can't fucking let this happen, can they?
It's gonna happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Regardless of what these people keep doing, it's gonna happen.
Look,
you're fucking with Disney, bro.
Your shareholders, the shares are only gonna go up in value once they transfer over to a much more popular fucking company. And especially after these first few Marvel films come out from these guys, the first fucking Disney-led Marvel Studios X-Men film, but guys, you're gonna line your fucking pockets on. Fuck Hulu, dude, fuck Goldman Sachs. You're gonna line your pockets right there.
And fuck whatever the hell Sky is.
Dude,
I remember back whenever Marvel first sold off to Disney.
Yeah.
Like, years back. I remember hearing about that, and I heard a bunch of rumors, like, oh, they're only going to be focused on movies, they're shutting down the comics portion, they're only going to be releasing things that could coincide with the movies, and I was worried. Like, very worried. Even though I wasn't back into comics like I am now, I was still like, wait a minute, that's the foundation there.
Yeah.
Why would you stop that? And then seeing how they treated it. And then finally, late years down the line, you hear about Lucasfilm selling off to Disney. And there was a lot of concern, you know, I was reading about online and stuff. And the only thing I kept popping in my own head was like, look at how they handled Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, Iron Man, who prior to these movies was not a household name. Maybe Captain America, Spider-Man, but like other than that, there's a lot of these characters that tell me
and Thor.
Tell me honestly, 10, 15 years ago, do you think that everybody would know who the fuck Groot is?
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is the best example there. I didn't know exactly who the fuck they were talking about when that movie came out, and I was at least vaguely aware of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So anything that Disney touches from here on out, I'm going to have faith in, at least for a while.
Well, and,
you know what I mean? At least till they give me a couple examples where it's like, oh shit, they're not handling this well. But they have handled everything well.
Yeah.
You may not like the new Star Wars films. You may be stuck at a fucking certain point where, like, going back nostalgia factors and shit, you may not like them. Obviously, there's $100 fucking million worth of people that don't like them. But the majority of people do, and they make fucking money.
I think the ticket sale prices alone.
Oh yeah,
and it's just that problem of the loudest voice is usually the stupidest, angriest voice, and that's why we hear so much hate about The Last Jedi. But it seems the majority of people enjoyed it. Most Star Wars fans liked it.
But as far as the Fox deal goes, I don't think that Marvel Comics would have made the step to bring Fantastic Four back this fall if they were not completely confident that they were going to be able to get rights from Fox.
Yeah.
To give them the ability to bring the Fantastic Four back into the fold.
And that's arguable. I mean, you could say this was kind of part of the plan all along because the Fantastic Four was not a profitable brand, and that's why they shipped them off. And that was like 2 years ago? So they took a 2-year break from the Fantastic Four.
It was longer than that.
Secret Wars?
Had to have been longer than that because...
Secret Wars is when
he's talking about comic-wise.
Yeah, comic-wise.
That was at least 3 years ago.
No.
Maybe 2.5.
I'm like 99% sure Secret Wars was happening in 2016.
Yeah.
The new Secret Wars, obviously.
Yeah, I think it went late 15 into 16. Because of the delays.
Either way, they took a big-ass break from the Fantastic Four.
And not only that, but like X-Men even. I mean, besides like...
Yeah, it was a much smaller break.
Oh, yeah. But it's like, Wolverine, dead. Yeah, you still had... I mean, granted, whenever they came out with the all-new shit.
That's a much deeper rabbit hole. There's a lot more going on there. But Fantastic Four, they legitimately were like, these guys are on the shelf. Yeah. Fucking Johnny Storm and the Thing are going to pop up here and there, but that's about it. And now they're bringing him back, and they're putting a legitimate, like, seasoned, awesome writer we all know can carry a good story on it, too. So, I don't know if this is necessarily motivated by the Fox deal at all. I would say they're bringing back the Fantastic Four because they've been like, look, you had a break. We were confident we can bring these characters back into the limelight, movie or not. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're going to do. So, I think that's where that lies. But
yeah, it's like, this is your first family of comics. Like this, sometimes it's like a relationship.
The fact
a little bit of a break sometimes can make that return so much fucking better.
And even a break like this is so surprising because I don't feel like they've ever put Fantastic Four on the shelf.
No. Yeah. Fantastic Four hasn't been as strong.
Like this. I mean, you got to think Jonathan Hickman, one of the legendary writers of our time right now. Wrote one of the best Fantastic Four runs that is critically acclaimed. And then Mark Waid, I think, took over after Hickman and wrote a damn good run as well. So we've had great writers on it, but the fan base just isn't there like it used to be.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and move on from there because, unfortunately, there is a ton of news that comes out every time we do these episodes. Just too much to cover story by story, and that is why we have a little segment called The Phone Booth News.
It's time for the news, the Phone Booth News.
That's right, guys. It's time for the Phone Booth News, the segment where we try to give you the news faster than Deadpool can change his clothes, which means we have about 3 minutes, 45 seconds for me to mouth these fucking things off to you.
Oh, mouth them good.
Odal is on the time clock. You got everything open? I'm not falling for that anymore.
No, you're 4
seconds.
You
better fucking not, goddammit. Ichigo Ryuko and in video game news, Ichigo Ryuko and Aizen from the anime Bleach have been announced as playable characters for the upcoming Shonen Jump fighting game Jump Force. Bethesda confirmed there will be no crossplay of any kind in Fallout 76, primarily due to problems with Sony. Pokemon Go released a 2-year anniversary photo on Twitter that teases Gen 4 Pokemon to be added to the game later. In comics news, R.L. Stine has signed a multi-year deal with Boom Studios to write 4 graphic novels as part of a supernatural horror series aimed at middle-grade readers. And per Newsrama, Ms. Marvel co-creator G. Willow Wilson and artist Carrie Nord are taking over the Wonder Woman book, starting with issue 58. In TV news, a new CGI Ultraman anime has been announced and will have a worldwide launch on Netflix in 2019. Netflix has also announced an all-new animated original series titled The Dragon Prince from Avatar: The Last Airbender writer Aaron Haza, I can't say that, with a sneak peek planned for San Diego Comic-Con. HBO has ordered a Joss Whedon sci-fi show called The Nevers, with Whedon writing, directing, and show-running the series. In movie news, during Sunrise's panel at Anime Expo, it was announced Legendary Pictures and Sunrise will collaborate on a live-action Gundam film. Brawly has been confirmed by Toei Animation as the villain of the upcoming Dragon Ball Super film, with rumors claiming the picture will finally make the villain canon. The Hollywood Reporter reports MGM has fast-tracked the development of a Child's Play remake with the producers of the It remake. Marvel Studios has found its director for their Black Widow film. Taking on the job will be Australian director Kate Shortland, who has received critical praise in the past for her film Love. Joaquin Phoenix has finalized a deal with Warner Brothers and will officially play the Joker in the standalone film. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson confirmed with Sci-Fi Wire that he will not be appearing as Black Adam in the upcoming Shazam film. And in other news, and finally, Funko announced on Twitter that they've struck gold, meaning they'll be releasing their first ever Pokemon figure. The Pikachu Pop will drop this month as a Target exclusive.
347.
Fuck, I missed it by 2.
You spent about 10 seconds on that first line.
No, I'm just kidding. 238.
238 for real? Oh, shit, yes. Oh, that's amazing. I took my headphones off real quick because I got sweaty. I did a good job on that one.
You did.
There wasn't nearly as much in this one as there has been in prior.
Was that movie actually called Love, or did you mispronounce lore as love?
Oh, did I write lore?
You put lore.
It was love.
Okay.
Or maybe. I don't know. It was lore or love. I don't know.
Lore, love.
I don't have my glasses right now. I got drunk Friday, lost my glasses. It's a long story.
Tell us about it.
I don't even know how long we're into recording right now. I have to imagine
7 hours and
long.
45 minutes.
Coming off of that, though, we do have to get into some somber news, which I think we're going to... I think we're going to attack this more discussionary, but there is a little bit of lead-in, and what we're talking about here is our Fallen Heroes segment. Every now and then a legend is brought into this world, but before they can become that legend, they have to pass through this mortal coil and become that fallen hero. And unfortunately, comic legend Steve Ditko, at the age of 90, was found dead in his New York City apartment on June 29th, but is believed to have passed 2 days earlier. Ditko was responsible for so many different comic book creations and co-creations of over 105 different characters in his time, including Starman, Squirrel Girl, The Question, Hawk and Dove, The Creeper, Shade the Changing Man, Dormammu, Doctor Strange, and most of all, The Amazing Spider-Man, and many of the characters of note involved with Spidey, including Uncle Ben, Aunt May, Mary Jane, J. Jonah Jameson, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Electro, both Norman and Harry Osborn, and so many more you've likely heard of. Steve also wasn't a recluse, though, as many articles surrounding his death would state. He was simply a private man who rarely gave interviews and stopped entirely after 1968 because he believed his work should speak for itself. He also genuinely didn't like having his picture taken, a normal thing for a lot of people. There's actually this great article about this that I'll link below, but in it, Jim Shooter, who we've told stories from in past episodes, tells a story about Steve from one of his visits to the Marvel offices in the mid-'80s, during which he states, once the production was done, he often hung around and talked with people, the kids, the vets, the old-timers. He didn't care. Anyone who thinks he's totally a lone wolf, nah, no way. He seemed to like being around us. He tolerated our cast of crazies, including me, pretty well, I think. End quote. What are you guys' thoughts here? We've all been affected by something Ditko related, at least. I personally, having read Amazing Fantasy, what was it, number 15?
I don't know. You read
Fantasy 15.
Amazing Fantasy 15. I read it right here on the podcast. This was one of my reviews. And so I firsthand got to see what came right out of this collaboration with Stan Lee. And, I mean, it's everything we love about Spider-Man. Everything we love about Spider-Man today, same shit Steve Ditko was writing back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the whole Bob Kane, Bill Finger thing. Like, Bill Finger is the one that came up with all these things that you know and love about Batman. It seems like Ditko was the Bill Finger of Spider-Man,
right?
Among many other characters.
Although it is arguable that Stan Lee had more to do with Spider-Man than Bob Kane had to do with Batman.
Absolutely. And after actually finding out how old he was by this point, it's not out of the way. It's not insanely like, oh my god, he died before his time. He was 90.
It wasn't a tragic death. The most tragic thing about it is that they didn't find him for
2 days.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that until just now, until you mentioned that. That kind of makes me a little more depressed about the whole situation.
Yeah.
But he, like you said, dude, he's a fucking legend. I mean, anybody that knows anything about comics, Ditko is a big name.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. And and some of these names, like Shade the Changing Man, that's not like a back in the 30s, 40s character. No, this guy was contributing.
Hawk and Dove was in the New Titans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of these characters, fucking Dormammu and fucking Doctor Strange.
Right.
These are characters that people know now.
The villain of the film that came out just a few years ago. So people know that name now, and that was Steve Ditko. That's what he brought.
Without this man and the contributions that he made to the industry, comics could be in a very different place. We could be at a point to where comics are a thing of the past had it not been for the characters that he created, and brought into our homes.
And though his name is mostly synonymous with Marvel, and his DC contributions, you could argue, these are off to the side characters, because
B or C
most people who love The Question are deep comic fans.
And Question was Charlton Comics prior to DC.
Yeah, before they ever bought him. Yeah,
I think didn't he also create Blue Beetle?
Yeah, well,
or the revamp, the newer.
Yeah, I think the original was someone else, and then DC bought him, and Ditko had something to do with that. But all the same, he has a hand in Blue Beetle right there. That was a character in the recent Injustice game. Tons of kids know that character now. Yeah, even though he's synonymous with Marvel and is prolifically with Spider-Man, he didn't spend that much time there. He was there for the first 40 issues of Spider-Man. I think there was a falling out with Stan Lee, which he never talked about. And I think in one interview that I had read, he had said something about, well, Stan's never gone on record for it, and you know how much he likes to talk. So,
I think I've read that same.
It was never anything let's dish all this shit out. To this day, nobody knows what happened there. But he did come back, I think, in the mid-'80s and helped out shit with certain things. So his time at Marvel was so small. He has such a wide variety of work
that just goes to prove how much of an impact he made.
On Marvel Comics, specifically. Before it was even Marvel Comics, when it was still timely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was... It's not a huge loss to the business in general because his time was long past. Like, it's been a while since he contributed.
But he's one of the people that created these stepping stones.
It is a shockwave of a pillar falling.
Yeah. He added multiple spokes to the wheel that is comics.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's like, we've talked several times that it's going to be devastating to the world. Our world, like when Stan goes, when we see that movie and come credits, we find that there's no Stan Lee cameo, and we see those words "in loving memory of Stan Lee," something like that. This isn't quite as impactful as we know that's gonna be.
Yeah,
but
he's contributed just as much.
I was gonna say, he's done just as much for the industry, the comic industry as a whole, as Stan Lee has. As he has just flown under the radar.
As any name you can drop right now. Like, this guy is just as... It's just the fact that he was a private person is why his name was never, like, front page all the time and shit. And like, in one of the article where I took that Jim Shooter quote, they had a... one of those fan letter things that they had scanned and put in there as well, where they paint him as a household name and shit back then, So this guy, like, right up there with Bob Kane, Bill Finger, Jerry Siegel, Joel Shuster, any huge name you can pull, like, this guy's just as important.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, there's no denying that.
Yeah, we definitely raise a glass to this guy, even though I believe we've all killed everything we brought before this. Bob had a sip of Corona, you got a Coke Zero, I got a LaCroix. And so, we raised this much to...
Oh yeah, I have a
and he deserves so much more than the bullshit little send-off we've got right here. Alright. Moving on from that, let's go ahead and... I don't know if our comic book review of this episode is really going to raise the mood because of how it leads
Not really, no.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, and I kind of thought about this and mentioned it, we probably would have been better off having read what we're about to review, but do a review of Superman #1 with Bendis that just came out this past week.
Well, you also didn't bring me my copy. So your
copy wasn't in the bag.
I don't own a single copy of what we're talking about, all 6 issues, but I'm still able to read it.
Yep.
There's no excuse.
Fuck you guys. Let me go ahead and check my calendar. Yeah, it says fuck you guys. And
let me.
I got no good segue for that. The Man of Steel #1 through 6 is what we're reviewing here, guys. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, art and cover by Joe Prado and Ivan Rice, colors by Alex Sinclair, and lettering by Corey Pettit. Just to give you a little idea of what we're getting into, and we are going to go in depth in these books, but the small synopsis here: a new era begins for Superman as a threat from his earliest origins reemerges to destroy the last son of Krypton. As Superman struggles to come to grips with what has happened to his wife and son, he must also face a new threat that's determined to burn down Metropolis. In this, what is all that mean? Well, we're going to spoil all of it coming up.
Guys, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We should put spoiler alerts on our comic reviews.
I think we've established a long time ago. Well, anytime we talk, here's
the thing about this, though. Issue 1 came out 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is a pretty fresh
6
book.
Came out 2 weeks ago.
So, okay, before we dig in deep into this, let's just give our, like, non-spoiler...
30-second non-spoiler
30-second, like, were we happy with it? Like, what was it? I love it. I think it changes the face of Superman completely. It has completely set me up for a very depressed Superman, which... I don't necessarily like, because I loved what we were getting in these stories. I was a huge fan of the way everything was going, but now that you have turned this fucking book on its head, I gotta know what's next.
As somebody that hasn't read as much Superman as you have, but I've read a good chunk, especially in the past few years, this was a good story, very good story on multiple levels. You get introduced to new characters. You get to see certain things happen to characters that have been around for decades.
Established staples.
Yeah, for decades. Big changes happen with them.
Yeah.
Plus you get like cool little appearances by some other members of the DC universe that like maybe you were expecting, maybe you weren't.
If you didn't read Superman Reborn, one of them is going to throw you right for a loop.
Which I didn't, and it did.
But
spoiler, it was Cable.
And because I've been trying to sell you guys on Superman, getting you guys reading, having read this, has this convinced you to start reading Superman?
I don't know. Has it convinced you to read White Knight?
I'm getting there. You see the pile of shit I've actually spent money on over there. I'm gonna read that before I read.
Oh, you should read it. I could say it has. Honestly, a lot of this newer stuff, like I've been reading Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of new stuff that it's like it's getting me excited.
Even made it there yet.
Oh man, you should.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know. I'm missing.
There's some good stuff, man.
I'm getting there.
It seems like there's a lot of good stuff coming out. Like I said, I'm caught up with Batman.
And a lot of it's DC.
Yeah.
So much of it is DC.
Well, that's what I was referring to as like the new DC stuff. Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I see Marvel coming around. I'm seeing a good change in Marvel.
Well, right now, I'm just reading just a few things from Marvel. And I'm not disappointed whatsoever. Right. But like, it seems like right now DC, this story right now too, like I think I might start picking up Superman.
Oh,
I enjoyed it. You know, one of my drivings, having never really been a big Superman fan, not having read a whole lot, just intermittent here and there. I really enjoyed it, seeing what was going on, not just as Superman, but as Clark. You know, and what he was dealing with, like each issue, he's being asked this one question constant through all the issues,
which was great breadcrumbs type situation.
And each issue you learn a little more of what that was. Yeah.
And that was a big driving force for me. It's like, I got to find out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then with everything else going on, like certain things that happened that were destroyed, you see a lot of emotion.
Oh yeah.
And that's one thing that I've given you shit about before, is it's Superman. How much emotion can there really be? And this has actually managed to convince me that he is more human than I have given him credit for.
Yeah.
He's affected by more things, and there was even a mention of this in the book. Like, there are situations that he comes across that he can't punch his way out of.
Yeah, that's a reoccurring thing that Lois says in a lot of stories.
Now, has this convinced you to start picking up Superman? No. Could you see yourself picking up Superman after this?
After this, I could definitely see myself reading it.
Which, keep in mind, Bendis is taking over on both Action and Superman. He's picking up both books. So, you're going to get the same kind of writing.
I'm personally probably going to be continuing because I want to know what the fuck happens next.
Now, here's the not so big of a bomb I'm about to drop on you guys. That's the kind of stories that have been being told this whole fucking time. And I've been telling you that. And he keeps shitting on me.
I wish somebody would have told me.
Now, see, here's what makes this stand out, though, next to what we've been getting, is we've been getting, like, these are, like, the character-building Superman stories when everything's going right. And Bendis could have absolutely kept telling those stories at the same quality, which is high quality, and gone forward, but that would have just meant merging one story into the next one, and Bendis wanted to make a big splash, and he totally did.
I was saying, he took this, and he continued on with what, like, you've kind of filled us in, like, this just keeps going with what has happened before, but he's taken this and he has made it his own, flipped things upside down.
I don't think he's made it his own. I think he changed the landscape so that he has more to write out of than maybe what was there before. And there was plenty there before to write out of, because before Rebirth and all that, before New 52 and shit, we left off on a cliffhanger of Superman, Lois, and her pregnancy and shit. We never got to experience Jonathan Kent, the next generation, you know? Because the fucking Final Crisis happened, or not Final Crisis, but Flashpoint happened, and it erased all that. And so we never got to see what any of that was like. So we got to see new Superman stories in a new light with new elements and shit up to this point. And all he did was simply change the landscape again. Give us a new point to start from and shit. And so I don't really think he made it his own. I think he changed the game for himself to have more fun out of. More experience writing and to give us all something new. Yeah. And so that's where that is. But still... Yeah, like, this should also get you guys... You should really go back and read some Rebirth shit. Come on.
And I love that Bendis' story from Action 1000 plays right into this Man of Steel. And it's not right at the beginning, which you kind of thought it was, or at least I kind of thought it was whenever I read 1000. No, that part of 1000 happens like dead center of this miniseries. And
very interesting the way they played it.
Was.
They gave us a morsel from the, like, what? It starts in issue 4, that big fight. And
I think so, yeah.
Like, that issue 1000 piece is kind of from the middle of issue 4.
And you actually get another appearance from the girls at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Where they even bring up the whole Red Trunks thing again. Well, like, it flowed together very well.
Right. Well, let's go ahead, and now we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers. We're going to break some of this down, talk about some of these characters. First and foremost, the character first introduced...
The first character is the third drawer of Jonathan Kent's dresser.
I was about to be like, okay, let's just jump ahead to the last issue and talk about Jonathan's third drawer real quick.
What was in there?
We know what was in there.
Well, I mean...
He's been hanging out with Damian a lot, and Damian's a little older than him, and so Damian probably slipped him a little bit.
I don't know. He didn't want Damian going through it. He
that's
said
true.
That line.
Yeah,
don't let Damian go to my
third
drawer of my dresser. Actually, and then he like progressively was like, you know what?
Never mind about
I'll go take care of it. And then you see him like insinuate something, and then come back out. It's been taken care of.
I really hope in subsequent issues we find out more about that third drawer.
It just hit me right before. So we're in spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Right before Lois leaves with Zor-El, she says something about don't let Perry in the bottom drawer of my desk. What are they hiding in these drawers?
What is going on in all these drawers? It seems like Superman's the only one without a secret drawer, and he had a fucking fortress of solitude.
Oh,
we're going to get into all that
oh my God.
in a moment. We're going to get into losses of Superman, but first let's talk about Rogal Zar. Who, again, was introduced in Action Comics number 1000. We actually got some of his motivations. He insists that Krypton will cause the downfall of... Yeah.
I've been pointing out your typos this whole episode.
No, that's how you spell Krypton.
No, there's a Y in there.
Yep, you're right. Nope.
How did you spell it?
CRPTON.
Fuck you guys. I'm writing with glasses and real
I understand.
Son of a bitch.
But I'm pointing them out
the
regardless.
Downfall, he insists that Krypton will
cause
the downfall. God damn it. Son of a bitch. We've also agreed to do a serious shit after this.
Oh, I'm fine.
I don't know about this kid.
I don't know if that's on the table at this point.
Oh, it better be. We got all three of us. We gotta do it. Like, we don't have this opportunity very often.
Okay, but
now we all got real straight.
But what about Krypton?
Anyways, Rogal, he insists that Krypton will cause the downfall of countless worlds by plundering their resources and demands from the Council of Celestials, which I've never seen brought together before, that every Kryptonian needs to be destroyed, which later he believes he's done until he sees Superman's crest in a bar on some random planet out there, and they tell him where it came from, which leads him to Earth.
I want to say it was the Cantina.
The Star Wars Cantina? Sure, yeah, why not?
You have yet to read Superman Earth 1, correct?
I have yet to read Superman Earth 1.
Is that not a bit reminiscent of Volume 1?
Kind of.
Of, like, the whole, like, somebody set somebody else up to destroy Krypton.
Yeah.
And, oh, wait, I just found out there's still Kryptonians out there alive. I've got to kill them all off. Mm-hmm. It was very reminiscent.
Yeah.
Like...
Fair enough.
I mean,
but still, this is like, that's not canon, so fuck them.
No, it's not, but like, it still exists in our world where Michael Brian Michael Bendis is living and is able to draw
So maybe
from.
that is a little derivative, and that's an interesting...
But which I'm completely okay with, because I like it whenever, even if it's an alternate universe, where they kind of tie some certain things in, or it's like, since that is an alternate universe, it's like, well, that same kind of thing could have happened, but in a different way.
Speaking of alternate universes, I mean, that gets brought up in this.
Yeah. Multiple universes has been brought up in
even
so
if,
many... Yeah,
it's
known.
Even if it's a copy of you with a goatee, so you know he's evil.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciated that they brought that up and kind of poked fun at it.
Yeah, especially with having Dark Knight's Metal most recently happen.
Yeah.
Which is literally like just the evil version of these multiverse and stuff. So, which nobody had a goatee. Bit of a disappointment there. All right, come on, Capullo. You know what you did. You know what you left out. Another new character introduced is the new Deputy Fire Chief. Melody Moore, which seems to be a budding new love interest from Superman. Did you guys get that vibe?
Not really.
No? I felt like there was some... there was definite flirtation from her end.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're going to try and push her in.
But from Clark or Superman's side, no.
No, I didn't feel it from him at all. He's fucking Superman. He's
I don't know.
faithful.
But I mean, if you were to fucking see a little bit of story of majority people, especially female, from Metropolis, there probably is that kind of like, of course he's handsome.
The way they pushed her to the forefront of this, I believe that they are going to push her a little bit as trying to drive a wedge. Yeah. I feel like she might try and push it further.
I can totally see it.
But she's introduced due to a series of arsons, later to be thought to string along Superman, bring him out, and get his attention and shit. And we'll talk a little later.
So the head of that is a little confusing.
So we'll talk about the ending of the issue involving that.
Speaking of this fire chief, I love the part when Batman pops up.
Yeah.
and he does it on purpose.
Yeah. No, he's
and
like,
I love the first thing
because he's Batman.
Yeah, Superman's like, I did that on accident. You did it on purpose. He's like, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
It's fucking great.
And then the conversation that happens like within the first couple pages of issue 1 where Superman's carrying the guys away. And they're like, you're not going to drop us, are you?
That's what Batman does.
No, that's what Batman does.
Yeah. No, I love... And another thing we could have mentioned in non-spoiler, conversation is a
yeah.
I feel like that's the niche that Brian Michael Bendis...
and a lot of really good internal monologue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brian Michael Bendis brings that much harder than Tomasi does. Tomasi is a great story builder. He knew all these characters perfectly. I still love his run so much, but Bendis does conversation. He's like the Kevin Smith of podcast or of comic book writing. He knows conversation. He knows how to inflict it. He seems to get how all these characters would talk.
Yeah.
Like, because just general thought. And you were talking about monologue. Well, I love what he did with Superman's monologue and the motivations behind his inner monologue being so all over the place and distracted and
not only that, but like they weren't always internal monologues. It was like conversations that happen, they're happening
with John
on this side of the page. Like the conversation continues over here while this fight is going on.
Yeah.
And
whenever he's trying to pinpoint screams, when he's talking about like it's a lot harder to pinpoint than what you'd think. Like, and then and then he catches somebody singing. He's talking about how a girl was singing the cover,
stuck in his
and he
head.
got distracted for a minute. He's like, and then he heard all the screams from that burning building.
And one of the
little things like that, I'm like, that's what Superman would do.
Yeah.
He'd be sitting there listening and hearing out, and then catching things like, oh, that's nice. Oh wait, there's something over here is going on. Let me go get that.
I agree to a certain point. I think that the reason he was so... because we've never seen this in Superman's head before, and there are decades of continuity here that are like, this is Superman. So we can't say like, oh, this is what Superman's doing all the time, because no, he's never done this before. I think he's distracted because of Lois and John leaving. I think he's distraught. He's not in the right mindset.
What I meant was like, while he's listening, he's picking up not just the things that he wants to hear, but he's picking up everything.
Yeah.
So of course he's going to hear this. He's going to hear that.
I think we've gotten that in certain iterations, but the way they played it in this is definitely
that he was distracted.
Yeah. But basically, let's talk about some of the things of note in this, which we've hit on some of this. Well, Superman loses everything. Mm-hmm. And this
this part actually made me sad.
Let's break this down piece by piece, because first he loses the fortress and everything in it gets destroyed. And let's not talk about the big thing that gets destroyed just yet. Let's just talk about the fortress itself, because that is tons of Kryptonian history and artifacts and technology. The fucking T-Rex,
dude. And if you were, I don't know if you read that issue of Batman where where Bruce brings Selina to the fortress.
Yeah.
Have you read that yet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, where he's talking about, I had one first type of shit.
Right?
That's why I was so happy to actually see the T-Rex in this. I'm like,
yeah. But no, he loses the Fortress of Solitude. Kalex, his right-hand man from Krypton, who pretty much guides him through most of the stuff he doesn't already know.
And that's something that he brings up, too, is like, well, my father always said, like, stuff is stuff. He's like, but this isn't just stuff.
Right.
This is stuff from a dead people.
Yeah.
Like, this is the last of the last.
Yeah.
Like,
and speaking of that, getting on to the next bigger thing, Kandor and all of its inhabitants are killed. And that is a hugely emotional scene in this. You see Superman on his knees crying, and Kara just trying to figure out what's wrong before she notices the broken bottle and the blood everywhere and screams out in pain. Which they didn't didn't put a word bubble in there. They just visual.
Seeing Superman broke down right there hit me hard. But what hit you even harder was just seeing that panel where Kara does realize what's going on and her mouth wide open and just screaming.
And we've seen Kara has troubles with her anger before, which will lead into another thing we're going to talk about in a minute, her rash decision that she makes towards the end of the books. But, and then you see them both take off. Just boom, and you think, well, holy shit, wait, is Superman about to go kill a motherfucker? Because that's where I thought their motivations were, like, for some reason they had just a psychic link where they were like, time to kill. Yeah. Like, we've been putting it off this time. We're gonna murder a motherfucker. And we'll talk about that also here because the whole fight is a big thing of note. No, fuck it. Let's go into it right now. Let's talk about that fight. Because we're talking about a villain of equal power here, if not more powerful, because you gotta think, he's taking on Superman at his best with Supergirl by his side, fighting side by side this whole time. And dude's holding his own. Oh, yeah. And eventually,
not just holding his own, but like, they were saying that, like, first off, they are not hurting him. Like, it was brought up at least once that
they're like we're knocking him
they're not causing any harm to him.
They're knocking him off
and
balance.
He's already they said he's already 5 steps ahead of him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not running away.
Of war,
he's strategically retreating.
Creature of war,
yeah,
that's right.
Because, Wonder
Woman points that out.
Yeah.
But
so
this fight leads for a fuck, and you don't see this very often. I think the last time I saw something like this was Death of Superman.
Yeah, it was Doomsday.
But it's back when Doomsday was brand new. This leads on for a fucking issue and a half, basically. And it ends with Superman damn near beaten to death on the moon.
Yeah.
Before Kara figures out where Superman would have taken him and shit, and goes and gets him. And Superman ends up in the hospital. He ends up hospitalized.
Of all places. And takes Superman.
And I mean, Superman even brings up whenever they're fighting Metropolis, like, that was a strategy. He made him go there because he knew that the power, the impact of their hits was causing tremors across the city.
Yeah, and, like, he didn't know who was dying at that moment because he's just so focused here, he can't take his focus away. So he takes him to the fucking moon, gets his shit handed to him, man. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of this, like, fucking 6-issue arc, when they're finally having the final fight out, and like, which starts in the middle of the earth because Superman figures out
the core of the earth.
Yeah, Superman figures out, like, how's he gonna eradicate us? Oh fuck, he's gonna blow up the planet.
He's pulling a Krypton is what he's doing.
He takes his ass out into space, and they're again getting their asses handed to him.
Yeah, they really never actually beat him.
No, they weren't even close, motherfucker.
But before we explain this, am I the only one that had the thought of, so 2 guys just drilled a hole to the core of the Earth, and we're still a stable planet?
I mean, it's
happened before. They didn't fight in the core of the Earth. Nothing.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did. They fought in the core of the Earth, bro.
No, they're down there talking, and then like next thing you know, Superman's like jetting it out of there with the.
No,
I'm pretty sure they exchanged some punches and shit.
I don't remember them.
Where's it at? Get your issue.
I'm too sweaty to put my fingers on those fucking books right now. I'm not doing that.
But yeah, he does wind up. Superman does wind up jetting out with the device, but like I'm like 90. I just read this shit a few hours ago. I'm like 99% sure that they exchanged some punches down there.
I don't think they fought down there. But
and hold on, did anybody else get the vibe of Lobo?
Right?
When he comes riding in on a fucking bike?
Fucking bike.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. But anyways, this fight ends up ending with Supergirl making the rash decision to send him to the Phantom Zone, and Superman's like, we don't get any answers like that. That's a temporary solution.
He says a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid, yes. So, wow, man, we got a hell of a fight and fucking villain and shit. Okay, yeah, there's a bit of a fight down there.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Had a little squabble.
I don't know, though.
Okay,
but
hold on. Not just two. Okay, not just two, because Superman and this guy have to get to the center of the Earth. So there's two. And then they bust out in a completely different area because when Superman comes to the surface, like, Paris.
If we're going to start breaking down the science
of Superman... Star Labs has this under control.
Half the shit that Superman does just on a daily, regular routine, saving regular shit, could probably break the planet. So, if we're going to do this, the whole fucking system falls apart.
I mean, he even mentions the Star Labs in here. They've already got this under control.
Yeah.
He said he only does it in emergency.
Star Labs. An emergency. Don't worry about
Star Labs.
That is the Band-Aid for things that break physics.
Another thing that Superman loses, the Daily Planet gets sold off.
Yeah.
We don't know what the future of that looks like. It doesn't necessarily say that the Daily Planet is shutting down, but it makes you feel like that's what's coming.
I think Perry even says it might get pieced out.
Yeah. It might get stripped and sold off and shit, so we're losing that.
I bet you Luthor bought it. That dirty son of a bitch.
We don't know. And Luthor is on the bad side of Superman. We saw in, I think it was Action 1000, he's like, look, I changed my suit back. Fuck you. Because he was wearing the S for a while. And he was like, no, fuck you. I got the LexCorp shit on there now. And then
Speaking of suits.
Yeah. Another big thing we end up losing is Lois and John.
Yeah.
They leave with Jor-El, as we mentioned earlier. And Jor-El, if you guys did not know, he gets reintroduced in Superman Reborn. Highly acclaimed storyline. I really suggest you go back and
give me
watch
a quick Cliff Notes version on.
There is no fucking way, unless you're aware of like what was going on with the New 52 and Rebirth in general.
Only thing I read Superman wise New 52 was the first couple volumes of Action.
Yeah, it surrounds around closing that gap, fixing the whole there were two Supermans thing, fixing some of the broken continuity and stuff. It does that. There was a few storylines that involved a Clark Kent like at the same time as Superman, and you're like, who the fuck is this Clark Kent? It solves that mystery, and then it all ends with the realization of Jor-El. No, there was another the Oz Effect. That's where Jor-El gets introduced. Okay. I still suggest you read Superman Reborn, but the Oz Effect is when we meet Jor-El.
And this also, the last guy. 7 times you're like, well, if you would have read Superman Reborn.
Just go from fucking...
New 52 Superman on.
Go from DC Rebirth and read everything Superman up to this point. That ought to fill you in.
Oh, okay. I should take that.
Anyways, Jor-El shows up and he wants to take John. He wants to take John to show him the world because there's so much more that John needs to learn about himself and his powers and the universe at large. And of course, Lois and Superman are like, fuck no, not happening. But John's not having that. He's like, I gotta go. I want to go.
Yeah.
And so they end up, like, because Lois realizes that she has a book deal, she can actually put off the Daily Planet. She ends up getting fired.
A double book deal.
A double book deal. And the one is already written, and she's like, it's this blah, 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 my career bullshit. Yeah. But she's like, second one I don't have anything for. This could be my second book. And so she decides to go with John. Everyone realizes, and I love that the whole 6th issue is mostly the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of conversation of... why are you going? Why can't I go? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm really glad that this issue, it gave us a good, long, full explanation of this whole question of where's Lois?
Yeah.
Like, because
where's
that was
Lois,
the
where's
constant
John?
question through this whole thing. Like, everyone asking Clark, where's Lois? You know, are you and Lois okay? Like, and he would brush it off, or he didn't want to talk about it and all that.
Yeah.
And, like I said, that was a driving force for me. Like, I want to know what's going on in his personal life right now.
And we also, because of this, we end up getting an explanation of why the old suit is back. Because Superman...
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, really interesting. And they even bring up, like, how's it going to fit?
How's it going to fit on? He's like, well, just, there's a button, was it behind the belt buckle?
Don't worry about it, baby.
And I feel like that, like it's Spider-Man Homecoming.
I feel like you should have said it was like, don't worry about it, Star Labs.
Star Labs.
It's all good.
Star Labs.
But
Cisco's got you.
She takes off with his newer suit, and they don't outright say it, but that's pretty much why he has the underwear back. Yeah. So this really tied up a lot of shit, man. Introduced some interesting new elements. And it all ends, and this is what makes, like, this is what entices you to check out the
this
first
is
issue
what
of
the
Superman.
fuck moment.
Yeah. It all ends with Superman being blamed for the string of arsons.
Yeah.
Because some boy claims, like, he has proof that Superman has done it.
Yeah.
And shit. And so, we might be starting out Superman #1 with him as a villain.
Like Public Enemy #1 type of shit.
No, this hasn't been the first time. When he first lost his superpowers in the New 52, like that last few arcs, he was not in public favor, and a lot of people actually hated Superman. And we've also seen the world against Superman back during the New Krypton shit that was happening years ago. So it's not the first time we've seen the world against Superman, but this could still add an interesting element, especially for new readers whose entire idea of Superman is, everyone loves him, he's so overpowered.
You can't write stories about Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Brian Michael Bendis has stripped away everything, made him a very depressed character. He's turning the people of Metropolis against him.
Like, to be perfectly in that last issue, the panel where he walks into John's room and just picks up that little stuffed animal and sits down just defeated.
And for anyone who has ever been without their kids, not knowing what the future holds, and I think we got 3 guys right here who have felt that at one point or another. Yeah, that's powerful.
Oh yeah.
Between that and that, was it one or 2 panels where it was the whole city of Kandar funeral where they send them all up.
Oh yes,
dude.
That was.
That's,
like,
I mean,
that
Oda was right there while I was
issue.
finishing that issue up, and I was like, oh.
Right.
And then a few minutes later, oh.
It's...
And then the very, very, very end. What the fuck?
Just great fucking storytelling, and it's Superman. You know?
It was.
This should be the fucking... people should have started reading during Rebirth, but
if somebody would have told me to, I may have.
Absolutely have to, find a place to start. Do it here. Come on.
Yeah.
Because you got all your pre-installed Superman shit, fine. You can start here with that.
Well, I was going to say, and to be honest, like, this seems like it's going to be a good jumping on point for people. Mm-hmm. You know,
really a good jumping on point would be issue 1000. Because, for me at least, I feel like with all those multiple stories of, like pretty much the highlight reel of what Superman is to everybody. And then, of course, you get that...
Reaffirming that... pre-installed shit.
Yeah, and then you get that very beginning, or you get that tie-in to the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're going to jump into Superman right now, read
Action
1000, read Man of Steel, and then read Superman 1 on.
Yeah.
And
Action 1001 on.
Yeah.
If you really want to. I don't know. I don't know anything about that book yet.
I don't either.
Alright, guys. We've been droned on long enough. I feel like this is a good place to end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I actually wanted to institute a new thing. Real quick. What'd you guys learn today?
I learned that you don't know how to spell for shit.
I know how to spell.
I also learned that I should probably be reading Superman Reborn.
Yep. Reborn and the Oz Effect and pretty much everything in between.
I also learned that pineapple does go on pizza.
Yeah, well, that also should have been something you should have picked up a long time ago.
That's it. There's not much I've actually really learned.
I learned...
Over the course of this episode, what did you learn?
Over the course of this episode...
That the guy next door likes to cut his grass late.
That's what I was going to say.
I was about to say, the neighbor is really bad at cutting his grass at a better time for
Sometimes people just don't cut their grass at a normal time. Assholes.
I also learned Superman could be a little bit more likable than I gave him credit for.
Oh, nice. Nice.
What did you learn, Vinny?
Well, throughout the course of all recordings that we've done tonight, I've learned that I'm okay with a transsexual during a devil's three-way. And I really think that's the most important.
What is he talking about? Tune into Serious Shit number 29.
Yeah, like 2 months from now.
Give him something to look forward to.
And I really feel like that's the most important thing.
That and Ash should never do blackface.
Yeah, that. Pokemon, just stop trying blackface. It just isn't going to work out for you. You really think you got it? You're like, oh man, we're about 16 years out from that last time.
We're going to sneak this one by him. No.
16 years is long enough, right? It's funny now. But no. But the other important thing is liking this episode if you liked it, subscribing if you loved it. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that bell below if you want to know when the newest videos go up. Comment your thoughts on any of today's stories, and please share this episode on social media. I'm telling you guys, this is the only good way to help us out. It takes 3 seconds. The button's right there. You don't even have to type anything. Just people will be like, why?
Just click.
Right? 2 clicks, 3 seconds of your fucking time. Do that. My name is Vincent Herman, Vin The Human.
Bob Collins, Bobb-A Fett.
James Odell, Alphaspecter. Will Vin The Human spell the words correctly next time? Will Bobb-A Fett appear on the next episode? Will Alphaspecter make another racist comment? Tune in next time on Sorta My Podcast.